The story begins in a completely devastated setting. It looks like a city, a kind of metropolis, that is in utter ruin. Amid the wreckage, we see a weary man holding and strangling another person while beating them. The person on the ground starts laughing. Around them, there are more bodies. You're different from this other trash. Shut up and kill me now. You're the only one who deserves to kill me. It's not like that. I'm not going to be the one to kill you. He pulls the collar of the boy in the white shirt. I promised my comrades that I'd make you wait for your judgment. You're going to death row and will be judged according to the law. In the narration, our protagonist thinks, I deeply regret this. I should have killed him when I had the chance. The next day, the news was already reporting the greatest and worst villain of all had been captured. The reporter says the villain Sungwon Huang, who terrorized the entire world, has been sentenced to death. Huang is currently wearing a power-limiting suit to contain him and is in Ruculus Prison, where many supervillains are held. His cell is on the 5th underground floor of Ruculus Prison. Additionally, for those who lost their lives fighting against Sungwon Huang alongside hero Gung Yuseo, a joint funeral will be held for the heroes of equality. We see the appearances of the heroes who lost their lives fighting the villain. Watching this is the same guy who captured the villain, and he's very nervous about it all. Someone appears with a remote control, turns off the TV, and calls out, Gongyu, why are you still watching TV if you're sick? Huh? We realize that he is one of the guardians of Ruculus Prison. His name is Gango Seo. Gongyu think, this is my brother, Gango Seo, a guard at Ruculus Prison. Oh, brother, that bastard Huang. I should have killed him with my own hands. Gongyu responds, have you forgotten the promise you made to your colleague? We see one of the heroines honored at the funeral say, the job of heroes is to save people. No matter how heinous the villain is, we mustn't kill them. They are also human and have the right to be judged by the law. And if we end up dead, promise me, no matter what happens, we must not kill anyone. Gongyu says, I agree with that. Only the law can judge people. Of course, we need the guardians to enforce the law. This is confidential, but Huang will be executed next week, and I will be part of it. You've done your job as a hero. Leave the final touch to us, the prison officers. So, let's go and say goodbye to your colleague. He extends his hand to Gongyu, and we see the tribute paid to the heroes. A week later, the day of Huang's execution arrived, but Gongyu's brother died. He cries, asking why the one who should have been judged by the law didn't die, but his brother, a prison officer, died instead. So far, we don't know the reason for his brother's death, but Gongyu is at the memorial paying his respects. Someone calls out to him, Seo Gongyu, it's been a long time. A blonde woman with 2 guards behind her appears. She is the prison director and says, can we talk for a moment? We move to another scene where they are in another room, and she hands him a tablet with a video on it. What is this? Gongyu asks. It's a video from today, of Huang's execution, she replies. And now we are in the scene from the video. We see Huang being escorted by the guards, the prison officers, and he starts making small talk with Gango, our protagonist's brother. He says, hey, you look a lot like Gongyu. Are you brothers? But Gango doesn't respond. Then Huang comments, it seems the other brother isn't as skilled. That's why you're working in the prison, right? Which one of you is the older brother? Gango remains silent, so Huang changes the subject and asks, and you, what do you feel after killing a person? Huh? This question makes Gango a bit more uneasy. Huang continues, you're a prison officer. You've killed people, haven't you? How do you feel? I feel a bit disappointed. Disappointed that with a little touch, they pop like soap bubbles. Gango hurries to open the room where Huang is to be executed, but ends up responding, even executing people like you, who don't even seem human, I feel a tremendous sense of guilt. I press a button and have nightmares. He remembers another prisoner he executed, who said that he too was a murderer, just like the prisoners he executes. Sometimes, they haunt me in my nightmares. Huang replies, and you continue working as a prison officer? Well, someone has to do it, right? I'm just doing my job. An officer gives the order, proceed with the execution of prisoner Sungwon Huang. Do you have any last words? Huang asks again, so, which one of you is the younger brother? The officer starts the countdown for the execution. 3, 2, 1. Just as he presses the button, the video abruptly ends. Gongyu is left stunned by this. At the moment Huang was about to be executed, there is a power outage. The first to realize something went wrong was Gango. The most accepted theory in the prison so far is that it was an attack by an infiltrator. Huang tears off the containment suit. I think he's the only one capable of killing me. Everyone, get down! A massive explosion occurs. Another guard grabs the radio and says, send reinforcements. The prisoner has broken free from the containment suit. I repeat, the prisoner has broken free from the containment suit. As he is saying this, Huang places a hand on his shoulder. When he touches the guard, his whole body swells up and gets covered in blisters. Huang just smiles and says, boom. The guard explodes into a spray of blood. Gango is completely traumatized by what he sees. Huang approaches Gango and says, I think you're the older brother, aren't you? Gango pulls out his baton and shouts, attack. But Huang completely twists his arm, causing him to scream and kneel in pain. I'm right, aren't I? Huang asks. Using his last bit of strength, Gango says, you need to be brought to justice. You need to be judged by the law, you monstrous bastard. With a simple wave of his hand, Huang completely destroys Gango's body, leaving only his uniform, specifically just the cap. Looks like I'll have to talk to Gongyu directly. The woman continues explaining to Ganyu. At that moment, Sungwon Huang and some mysterious accomplice attack, causing all the controls and suits that kept the death row prisoners restrained to be released. At least we managed to prevent them from escaping, but a significant number of officers are trapped along with the prisoners. Ganyu asks, who is responsible for the attack? That is still under investigation, Hero Ganyu. I apologize for making this request while you're at your brother's funeral, but can you put an end to the rebellion occurring at Ricula's prison? Of course I can, under one condition. We enter our protagonist's mind as he thinks. My work partner once told me that heroes must not kill people. Meanwhile, we see a massive rebellion, with lots of guys banging on the doors to open the prison cells, explosions happening, everyone fighting like crazy. A hero's job is not to take lives. And my brother, a prison officer, also told me that the prison doors open, the law must judge people. The doors are open, let's go. But when they try to leave, they are all thrown back at once. Prison officers are the ones who should execute them. The prisoners are in shock, like, who is this person? And we see someone, a prison officer, emerging from those doors. So, let me enter Ricula's prison, not as a hero, but as an officer. Nice to meet you, pieces of trash. I'm the prison officer, Ganyu Seo. Why is a hero wearing a prison officer's uniform? Anyway, I'm glad he's here. Kill him! The prisoners all rush at our protagonist, but as they charge towards him, he shows no reaction and just prepares a punch in their direction. When he unleashes the punch, he completely obliterates the one in front of him. His punch destroys everyone, dismembering many in the process. We see the remains of the prisoners' bodies, and all the other prisoners are terrified by Ganyu's power. Ganyu just straightens his uniform and says, listen up, pieces of trash. From now on, under government orders, starting from the first floor to the 5th underground level, we see some scenes of the different floors and what's happening on them. On the last floor is Huang. I will take on this task. Huang says, look at that, you're here. Let's begin the execution. The prisoners are outraged. Execution? Ah, stop talking crap. You, a hero, are going to kill people? Yeah, you've killed so many people. Do you think it's unfair for you to die, prisoner? A prisoner in the back shouts, hey, but I didn't kill that many people. My name is Helita, and I killed 12 people. Another says, I can count on my fingers. His name is Brooks. He killed 7 people. And the other called Cade says, I can do it with one hand. Murder and child kidnapping. And who is here to kill us? You? Where are your hero guidelines and human rights? Huh? Meanwhile, a prisoner named Choi Guwon is thinking, oh, how noisy. While he's distracted by the other prisoners, in an instant, he activates his ability, becoming very fast with lightning surrounding his body. Prisoners pass by our protagonist. I can make my escape, but it's too late. He only sees a sole of a foot coming towards his face and gets a massive kick. Is this guy really a hero? No one can withstand that kick. The prisoner falls flat. Ganyu tells the prisoners, I'll give you a choice. Calmly go back to your cells under control, awaiting your execution, or die now by my hands. This hero here seems more like a villain, but I like it. The prisoners are all scared now. A brave prisoner says, what is this guy talking about? Anyway, it's our last chance, right? We're going to die anyway. It's better to die rebelling. Don't you think the negotiation terms are a bit irrational in this situation? Ganyu responds, this is not a negotiation. What I can offer you now is mercy. Everyone thinks, wow, he's serious, he's going to kill everyone. Where is that hero of equality? One of the prisoners says, I'll use the control device. Another says, I will too. But meanwhile, that same prisoner is activating his ability and shouts, with something glowing in his mouth. All the prisoners look at him. Even if you are a hero of equality, there's no need to make a deal with just one man. I've already killed a tier 2 hero myself. We just need to work as a team. The prisoners get excited. If that's the case, there's no reason to be afraid. Let's kill him and gain our freedom again. But our protagonist just stares at them and says, you're back. We return to Seiyun-jo explaining the prison situation to Ganyu. She explains that Ricula's prison separates prisoners by danger level. On the first floor, there are those who killed several people. There are over 300 serial killers in there. On the first underground floor, there are 100 prisoners who single-handedly put an entire city at risk. On the second underground floor, there are 30 people who put metropolises in danger. On the third underground floor, there are those who put an entire nation at risk. On the fourth floor, there are those who endangered an entire continent. And on the fifth and final underground floor, there are 3 people, including Huang, who put the whole world at risk. She continues, it seems like a lot, but the number of people you'll have to deal with will be smaller than that. The prisoners are reducing their numbers themselves. Meanwhile, on the second underground floor, it looks like there are 2 twins using some kind of mind control ability on the other prisoners. They're saying, confess your sins. On the 5th underground floor, Huang is talking to another prisoner who is there, and it is explained that they are not that friendly. He says, wow, there was already someone on this floor? And the girl just stares at him. Well, can we spend some time together until Ganyu arrives? Seiyun-jo continues explaining, on the first floor, there is a unique person. There's an entire unit around this person here. She shows a paper to Ganyu. Listen, he has a special ability that strengthens the allies around him with the sound he makes. Ganyu says, you were in a hospital with 30 high school students and killed 7 people. Among those people, the the heroine Reyes, totaling 8 people. Hillison corrects, no, 10 people. At the time, she was pregnant with twins. Gongyu speaks into his radio. Chief, I think I'll have to use force. How strong is this person? Seiyun Jo responds, whatever you do, the prison won't collapse. I guarantee it. Gongyu turns off the radio and says, facing Hillison, then there's no need for me to hold back my strength. What a bluff. You're nothing but a hero of equality. You also captured Huang, didn't you? Caught him and threw him here using your buddies as bait, right? Well, I'll send you to where your comrades are now. Using his power to strengthen those around him, Hillison commanded, kill. The prisoners start to feel stronger, and one of them exclaims, I can feel my strength overflowing now. Hillison shouts, everyone, attack. The prisoners, now energized with this new strength, charge at Gongyu. With a simple kick, using a power that emits red lightning with black tones, Gongyu hits one of the prisoners, completely destroying his face. The other prisoners are struck by these rays, which tear through their flesh. Hillison, seeing all this, thinks, what the? When he sees most of the prisoners around him fallen, he asks, shocked, what was that? Gongyu prepares another kick, but this time he stomps on the ground with force, throwing all the surviving prisoners into the air. Meanwhile, a prisoner who had been quietly in his cell hears everything and thinks, scared, Gongyu. Hillison is screaming as he's hurled through the air. When he sees where Gongyu is, he becomes even more terrified. Gongyu is already preparing a punch in their direction, with his ability activated. His hand transforms into black claws. While all the prisoners try to use their abilities, Gongyu says, stop resisting. Survival is a skill. He then uses his ability with the large claws and says, globe of death. Several black rays pierce all the prisoners around him from where he stood to where they were thrown. Most of them are still conscious as they are torn apart. Hillison, even in his last moment, manages to say, no chance. Then, all of them fall dead, forming a rain of bodies over our protagonist. We see the mutilated bodies on the ground. First floor, execution complete. Moving to solitary confinement, Gongyu declares, how many people were killed in all this? Dozens? Hundreds? He wonders as he faces 2 prisoners. You have a choice and 2 options. Put on the disarmament device or die. One of the prisoners, very angry, charges at Gongyu, even with his hand transformed into a huge claw. With a simple lift of his foot, Gongyu decapitates the prisoner. He thinks to himself, there must be around 300 people on this first floor. The other prisoner, who wasn't decapitated, is very scared by what he saw and says, I'll put it on. I'll put on the device. Yes, sir. Please, give me one. Sensing the prisoner's deceit, Gongyu prepares himself. The prisoner invokes his magic and says, gotcha, sucker. He shoots a laser beam at Gongyu. Did you really think I'd do what you said, little hero? But when he realizes what actually happened, the prisoner becomes very confused and scared. This guy makes anyone crap their pants. Huh? Impossible. Try not to laugh. More like try not to crap your pants. He thinks back to the past, remembering a villain captured by one of his partners, Tomi, who said, people without physical abilities are really pathetic, aren't they? Because you'll never know how exhilarating it is to crush someone if you shoot them from afar. As Gongyu thinks, he already advances with his fist toward the prisoner. When he crushes the prisoner's head, he thinks to himself, is this ecstasy? No, it just feels like breaking eggs with my fist. With that, he moves on to his next destination. This time, he enters solitary confinement, where someone says, wow, it's really noisy out there, isn't it? How long has it been? 3 years? I knew you'd come here eventually. It's been a while, Hirosio Gongyu. His name is Cheekfielder, and his crimes were cannibalism and mutilation. Do you remember me, Gongyu? I thought you'd change jobs eventually, but your expression doesn't look too good. Now it's time for you to choose whether you want to die or not. If I had known we'd meet like this, you and your friends of equality, you know? He recalls the scene when they captured Cheek. He was there, bound by Tomi's chains, and Gongyu saw a pot with some human organ. Cheek said, doesn't it look delicious? Now you feel like killing someone. Ah, but you won't be able to anyway. Gongyu, enraged, invokes his power and says, I'm going to kill you. He already extends his fist toward Cheek, but the team leader shouts, Gongyu, don't do it. Gongyu stops and just stares at the other heroine, but he holds the grudge inside him. Cheek continues, look at your colleagues up there. They must be so disappointed. If you don't answer my question, I'll consider that you really want to die. Do you know why I killed them? Gongyu replies, I'm not interested in the least. He advances and cuts off Cheek's head, but the head keeps talking, because I wanted them to remember me. Suddenly, Cheek appears behind Gongyu in an illusion, and everything turns purple and pink. That's why I killed them, to become the most memorable person in their mind. When people die by my ability, they never forget me. We see several faces of Cheek multiplying in a mental torture. I implant my vision in their eyes. This is the ability of Cheekfielder. To prove it, I can show you the memories of everyone I've killed. Should I show each one of them? He starts to invoke one of his victims, but Gongyu cuts his arm in the air, and Cheek realizes his arm has already fallen. Gongyu responds, this is all because you're a solitary prisoner. Now, I really want to shut your mouth. We see that Gongyu is holding a katana made of his energy, very stylish. You don't have time to hit me with your ability, do you? Let me ask you something before I die. Do you still remember the people you killed? Gongyu responds, no, it's not worth remembering, especially trash like you. But suddenly, Gongyu is a bit stunned by what he sees. Cheek is showing Gongyu Ganyu's former companions, and that same leader is saying, Ganyu, no. It seems he was slightly affected. The prisoner, nervous and trying to avoid death, smiles and says, but you remember this, don't you? The illusions of Ganyu's companions are still trying to control him, making him not kill, but he simply starts slicing all these illusions, with no pity for these memories of his companions. The prisoner, already severely injured and missing an arm, bleeding, says, I can't believe you killed your companions without even hesitating. Ganyu responds, these are just illusions. Then he swiftly divides the prisoner in two with a quick slash. As the prisoner's body falls to the ground, Ganyu says his final words to him, by the way, I'm not a hero anymore. I'm a prison guard now. In his last moments, the prisoner says, you're not just a prison guard. You're a monster just like Sungwon Huang. Those were the prisoner's last words, and Ganyu just stares at him as he finishes speaking. Meanwhile, speaking of Huang, he is confronting another villainess. Without any resistance, she is killed. When are you going to get down here, Ganyu? If you don't come, will I be? He says, seemingly killing the villainess. Outside the prison, three people are observing from the top of a cliff. A large man, who looks like a butler, says, Miss Sinka, when are we going to start? Sinka responds, he appeared. It's him. He was in the security cameras. Where is our protagonist, dear husband? Canis, the butler, asked, Miss Sinka, wasn't your husband Sungwon Huang? Sinka confirms, yes, my husband. Canis continues, then, Miss Sinka, wasn't that the reason you started the attack? To save Mr. Huang? Kato, another woman beside them, comments, and this person you're talking about is a hero. He's meant to aid human development. Sinka responds, a hero? No, I don't see him as a hero. Do you? Canis says, but you need to choose just one of them. Sinka comments, yes, polygamy is illegal, right? Kato responds, but it's a really important question. The younger or the older? Especially since they don't get along very well, right? Or maybe only the one who survives deserves to be with me. So, who will survive? Meanwhile, Seun-jo, the commander, arrives to congratulate Ganyu. You managed to clear the first floor in an instant. The power of the prisoners will grow exponentially on each floor. So, I think it's better for you to take a break. Ganyu responds, no, I can't. I'm going now. Open the door. Seun-jo says, okay, understood. But before you go, I want to ask you a favor. On the next floor, the second underground, there are still guards sending life signals. How many guards do you think are down there? Can we get them back to their families? Seun-jo continues, all communication devices from the first underground floor down have been completely destroyed. So, I don't know the exact number of guards alive, but I'm sure there's at least one guard without legs crawling around. She continues explaining, for some reason, the communication devices on the fifth underground floor are still working. So, I'm sure someone is still alive down there, and they are screaming for help. But right behind them is Huang. At that moment, Huang uses his power and completely explodes that person, splattering blood everywhere. I make a point of showing this scene to whoever is watching from above. Ganyu says, I'm heading there. The guards on the radio say they will open the door to the first underground floor. Seun-jo says, permission granted. Opening. She speaks again to Ganyu, be careful. The power difference between the prisoners on the first underground floor and the second is vast. The difference is like heaven and earth. When Ganyu opens the door, he is stunned, but not scared, because nothing scares this man. We see prisoners exchanging punches, competing fiercely. Two prisoners are in a competition, but they soon notice our protagonist's arrival and exclaim, ah, son of a. The fastest wins. Is that it? They advance with their powers against the other prisoners, who start shooting from a distance, shouting, shoot him, shoot him. I knew they'd send you eventually. The commander, Seun-jo, asks Ganyu, are you okay? But another person intervenes, you should worry about yourself first, then others. One of the prisoners, with an enhanced arm, advances towards the commander and prepares an attack. Instead, he starts strangling her, lifting her into the air. This is the chief, isn't it? A rare opportunity. Always wanted to break that arrogant face of yours. What do I do with her now? Hey, you idiots, these are the prison guards. But I got her first. When he looks back, no one responds, and he realizes they're all dead because Ganyu has already cleaned house. He tries to react. Wait, Ganyu is already on top of him, preparing a powerful punch. He smashes the prisoner with such force that pieces fly everywhere, causing everything to tremble. Even the commander falls. We see only her legs as she falls, seeing the prisoner's remains. Ganyu says, don't come down. Don't come to the second underground floor. It's too dangerous. She responds, yes, yes, understood. Calm down, Ganyu. That Tomi woman was captured. She's on the first underground floor. Ganyu simply says, I know. Meanwhile, on the first underground floor, the prisoners argue. Did you hear that sound? It sounds like a loud roar. A woman interrupts. Stop, you idiots. Do you think it will do any good up there? Do you think anyone here can face that guy? She is Tomi, a former heroine who killed 28 heroes. Do you know why villains keep being villains? Because of your lack of intelligence. A muscular prisoner approaches her and says, do you want to die now? Tomi responds, you kill me? Until today, you've only killed ordinary humans. Have you ever killed someone with special abilities? Have you ever fought any of them? For your information, I have, and that's why I'm here. Out of nowhere, the muscular prisoner begins to transform into a monstrous form. I'm going to kill someone with a a special ability right now, he says, but is instantly cut in half by Tomi's claws, which resemble a symbiote on her arm. Kill who? You're the one who's going to get killed, you idiot. She continues, when I was a hero, I captured many villains. So, I know very well how to catch a human with special abilities. With this knowledge, I killed many heroes, and now I'm going to teach you. She says this while the prisoner is split in half in front of her. If the rest of you join me, I can teach you how to hunt someone with special abilities, and most importantly, Gonyu's abilities. A prisoner asks, you know Gonyu's abilities? How do you know that? Tomi responds, you know I used to be a hero, right? I have extensive knowledge about other heroes. Another prisoner asks, and what difference does it make if you know his ability? Tomi explains, if the opponent is part of the equality or a first-class hero, it's very different from a third-class hero like you. Since Lhasa became the leader of the equality, there have been reforms in the hero industry. First, they redefined what it means to be a hero. They prevented heroes from killing villains. Then, they regulated teams formed by heroes to train with each other. And finally, the hero tiers system, from tier 1 to tier 5, was completely abolished. Why am I suddenly telling you this? Because Gonyu joined the equality as an exception when this system was abolished. They called him the parachuted hero. Some rumors said he was Lhasa's secret lover. In fact, I never saw Gonyu fight, but even so, he cleared the first floor very easily. He must be at least a tier 2 hero. The first floor only has riffraff. You should be able to handle it. We see that the average number of people murdered by these prisoners is over 1,000. Some have 2,000, and there's even a guy who killed 3,500 people. And the one who was talking, speech, killed 6,435 people. I'm not saying Gonyu is weak. He is definitely strong, but I know his weakness. So, we can definitely take him down. You know his weakness? The other prisoners ask. Hey, you guys are always in such a rush. We have other options. What are you going to do? Decide quickly. The enemy is coming, you know that, right? Some prisoners start saying, I'll join. Me too. And you, speech? Well, I'll join too. What's the plan? An explanation begins about the powers that have emerged among humans. Scholars have classified these powers into 3 major categories for research. The first is the ability to transform or enhance the body, known as the physical series of superpowers. The second is the ability to create something from nothing, known as the creation series of superpowers, and those that do not fit into either of the other 2 categories belong to the special series of superpowers. At this moment, Gonyu arrives. The prisoners start communicating telepathically. He's here. He's arrived. We see that Speech and Tomoki also have this telepathic ability, allowing them to see through the eyes of the other prisoners. This is a physical power called brainwave communication. Tomoki thinks to herself, Gonyu's power is from the same physical series as mine. She remembers getting this information when she saw Gonyu training during his hero days, training with a combat robot that didn't look easy to defeat. We return to the scene of Gonyu approaching the prisoners, and he says, put on the containment device or die. It seems someone is using an ability against Gonyu, but he doesn't even bother to dodge. Tomoki thinks, look at that, he's not even dodging. It is explained that Tomoki's plan involved using the cell doors as shields for various special ability users. Special abilities can be from the creation or special series, and she positioned these prisoners to attack Gonyu, creating a barrage of attacks against him. We see all kinds of abilities being used against Gonyu, and someone says, just like you said, he's just taking those attacks. It is explained that Tomoki vaguely knew the reason Gonyu didn't dodge these attacks was because he knew it wasn't worth the effort. Therefore, she added another layer of attack to the plan. We see Kilson tied up by several ropes. In the end, his arms are completely bound, and the guy who tied Kilson says, successfully captured. Along with these ropes, there is a superpower control device now taking effect on Gonyu. Speech says, as instructed, I gathered several of these devices here from the bodies. This is a control device for the first floor. Will it work on him? It's fine. Just use several of them. If one is for the first floor, use 10 for a second tier hero. If you use 15, it will seal the abilities of a first tier hero. Milan, who is shooting the ropes at Gonyu, has the special ability to make an object homing. For safety, let's use 30. We see Gonyu with several of these devices, one on his neck, several on his arms and leg. The prisoners say, now he's going to die. We did it, but there was a flaw in Tomoki's strategy. Gonyu simply tears off the device on his neck and snaps the rest like they were rubber bands. His malevolent aura already scares the prisoners. Her first mistake was underestimating Gonyu's strength, leaving the prisoners unable to react. Gonyu removes all the devices and simply punches the prisoners. His strength far exceeds that of a first-tier hero. Through neural communication, Speech says, all the devices are broken, and Tomoki shouts, wait, all we can hear are the desperate screams of the prisoners. The prisoners yell, initiate the next strategy. The next strategy. Tomoki and Speech also call for the next plan, which involves taking hostages. One of the prisoners grabs a guard and says, don't move or I'll kill him. We see that more than one guard is alive but being held hostage by the prisoners. Gonyu simply rains down several black lightning bolts on the prisoners, killing them without harming the guards. This was Tomoki's second mistake, thinking Gonyu's abilities were only of the physical series. series when they were also of the special series. While most of the prisoners are dead, the guards manage to survive. One of the guards comments, "I've never seen this kind of ability before." Tomoki's third and final mistake is revealed. We see some prisoners inside their cells saying, "Damn, none of the plans work." Some prisoners surrender and say, "I'll put on the device." The third mistake was underestimating Gongyu. If anyone won't respect the strategy, it's too late to make another. We see Gongyu spinning a large blade made of black lightning, creating a storm of destruction around the prisoners. He says, "Too late. Their neural communication is completely broken because everyone outside has died." Speech thinks, "Damn, what happened? He completely destroyed us. Do you have another plan, Tomoki?" She replies, No, this is impossible. Say something." "Damn, I shouldn't have trusted your words. Are you saying the containment devices didn't work? Not even 30 of them?" Speech says, "I'm going to put on the containment device myself now. I want to survive at least a bit longer." Tomoki says, "Shut up," and pierces Speech with her claws. "Who do you think you are to raise your voice to me? Do you think we're on the same level just because we're together?" She finishes off Speech. Tomoki thinks, "I have more than enough to seal a first-tier hero's ability. But if all the devices are broken, and if he really is that strong, why wasn't he fighting on the front line? Damn, this doesn't make sense." Suddenly, we see a guard trying to crawl out, trying to save himself. When Tomoki sees him, he starts screaming, "Please, someone help me. Someone save me." Tomoki is about to finish off the guard, but Gongyu appears and cuts off her hand, saving the guard at the last moment. He has a red claw, similar to hers. As the guard runs away in relief, Gongyu gives Tomoki her death sentence. "Tomoki, do you have any last words?" She responds, "I'm screwed, aren't I?" And those were Tomoki's last words.